They didn't call her name because they believed in her, they called her name because they were bored. And cruelty is entertaining when you're young and don't yet understand consequences. When the announcement echoed through the school auditorium, next, we have Aisha Malik. A ripple of laughter spread across the rows of students. Some covered their mouths, others didn't bother. A few turned to stare at the thin girl seated near the back, her shoulders hunched, her hands gripping the hem of her worn sweater as if it were the only thing holding her together. Aisha froze, her heart slammed against her ribs. She hadn't signed up to sing. She never would have. Everyone knew that. Which is exactly why her name had been written on the list. Go on, someone whispered loudly. Let's hear the miracle. Another laughed. Aisha stood slowly, legs trembling. She could feel every eye on her, judging her patched shoes, her faded uniform, her tightly braided hair done without a mirror. She had learned long ago how to make herself invisible. But now, under the bright stage lights, invisibility wasn't an option. She walked to the stage while laughter followed her like shadows. No one expected what was about to happen. Aisha Malik was poor. Not the kind of poor people talk about in speeches or charity ads, the kind that smells like damp clothes and sounds like hunger at night. The kind where you learn early that dreams are expensive, and silence is safer than hope. She lived with her mother and younger brother in a single rented room behind a row of mechanic shops. The walls were thin, the roof leaked during monsoon, and the electricity came and went like an unreliable promise. Her father had died when she was 9, crushed beneath a truck he was repairing. From that day on, her mother stitched clothes late into the night, fingers cracked and bleeding, while Aisha learned to stretch meals and swallow disappointment. School was not a place of escape, it was a reminder. Other girls talked about new phones, birthday parties, music lessons. Aisha talked to no one. She kept her head down, her books neat, her answers correct. Teachers called her quiet but capable. Students called her that poor girl. And sometimes worse. But there was one thing Aisha had that poverty hadn't stolen: her voice. She discovered it by accident, humming while washing dishes at a neighbor's house where she worked part-time. The old woman stopped her mid-song, eyes wide. "Child," she said softly, "where did you learn to sing like that?" Aisha shrugged. "I didn't." From that day on, she sang only when she was alone, on rooftops at dusk, in empty stairwells, under her breath while walking to school. Singing made the world feel lighter. It was the only time she forgot the ache in her stomach and the weight in her chest. But she never sang in front of people, because people laughed. The idea to put Aisha's name on the performance list came from a group of popular students who had grown tired of the usual talent show acts. Same singers. Same applause. They wanted something funny. "Let's make her sing," one boy said, snickering. "She barely even talks." They expected cracking notes. Nervous sobs. Maybe she'd run off the stage crying. Entertainment. The teacher overseeing the event didn't question the list. She was overwhelmed, underpaid, and trusted students too easily. By the time she realized Aisha hadn't signed up, it was already too late. Now Aisha stood center stage, microphone cold in her shaking hands. The auditorium smelled of dust and anticipation. "Sing something," the judge said kindly. Unaware of the setup, Aisha looked out at the crowd. Her classmates leaned forward, waiting for the joke to land. She spotted her brother in the last row, eyes wide with worry. Her mother hadn't been able to come, work couldn't wait. Aisha swallowed. For a moment, she considered running. Let them laugh. She was used to it, but then she remembered her mother's tired hands. Her brother's quiet hunger. All the night she sang to the walls because no one else would listen. Her fingers tightened around the microphone and she began. The first note was soft, almost too soft to hear. Laughter rippled again, then her voice rose, clear, deep, trembling with emotion, yet steady like a river that knows its way. The laughter stopped. By the second line, whispers died. By the chorus, mouths hung open. Aisha's voice filled the room, not loud, but powerful, carrying pain, hope, longing, and resilience in every note. She sang about loss, about hunger, about waiting for a miracle that never seems to come. She sang like someone who had lived. Teachers exchanged stunned looks. Students sat frozen. The judge's pen stopped moving. Aisha closed her eyes as she sang, forgetting where she was. Forgetting who was listening. It was just her and the song, the one she used to sing on rooftops when the world felt too heavy. When the final note faded, silence followed. Not awkward silence, reverent silence. Then someone stood up and clapped, another followed, then another. The applause crashed over her like a wave, loud and unstoppable. Some students wiped their eyes. The same ones who had laughed stared at her now, shame flickering across their faces. Aisha opened her eyes, stunned. For the first time in her life, the room wasn't laughing. It was listening. That performance changed everything, but not all at once. Fame didn't magically erase poverty. Applause didn't pay rent. The next morning, Aisha still woke up hungry. Still walked to school in worn shoes. Still worked after class, but something had shifted. Teachers spoke to her differently. The music instructor asked if she'd ever had training. She hadn't. He offered lessons, for free. Videos of her performance spread online, recorded on shaky phones. Comments poured in. Some cruel. Many kind. How is this girl not famous? Raw talent like this is rare. She sings with her soul. A local radio station invited her to sing live. Aisha almost said no. Fear still lived inside her. But her mother held her face gently. Your voice is a gift, she said. Don't hide it because the world was once unkind. So Aisha sang again and again. Each time, her confidence grew. Each time, the girl who once wished to disappear stood a little taller. The same students who mocked her now avoided her gaze. A few apologized. Some didn't. Aisha didn't wait for them. She had learned something important. Approval loses power when you stop needing it. Years later, when Aisha stood on a much bigger stage, lights brighter than anything that school auditorium ever held, she remembered that day, the joke, the laughter, the silence, and the song that changed her life. Because sometimes, the world laughs not because you are weak, but because it doesn't yet understand your strength. And sometimes, the bravest thing a person can do is sing anyway.